Ozay, could you please explain to me the stages, how you meditated?
So everything in meditation is like starting from the root and going up to the leaves. You know, you can go on any leaf, and every leaf is your life.
Every leaf, every tree. People don't know what to do with that. That is the problem with all those scriptures nowadays.
I'll start from the beginning then.
Yes, please.
And maybe the best start, you start at the point of when I actually, before I went into prison is the starting of it. And I'd started off as, you would say, in the Midlands, when I was on the run from the army. And I was working, you know, shift work, and I would have to catch a number 74 bus to West Bromwich. And in there I saw a magazine lying on the back seat, because I always like to sit on the back seat in the corner, and it caught my attention. Well, it was free as well, of course, you know, so I picked it up, and I never really had a big attention span, so there was a picture caught my eye, and it was somebody sat in a lotus position, and I must have read a small part of it, and it said about the importance of the spine being straight and how to meditate, you know, just a small sentence like this, and how to end suffering. And I remembered that. I forgot about it after that, and then a couple of years after that, I got in trouble and I got thrown into prison. And when I went into prison, I was first on remand, and that's, you know, it's an open, you know, your cell door is open all the time, so you can walk around and it's okay, you know. And well, I didn't like being locked up, so I planned to escape from prison, and I devised a plan in my head that because every 7 days we were being moved from the Cardiff prison up to Pontypool Magistrates Court, and then they would sort of, you'd stand there in front of the judge and he'd say another 7 days. So we wait another 7 days and you're back up again, 7 days again, until you come up to your court date, see? So that's what it was all. So I planned that the next time, what I'd noticed was there was a little sort of weakness in when the prison guards handed you over to the police, they would take the handcuffs off you, and you was, you know, I was in Pontypool police station at that point, you know, that they would take the handcuffs off, sign you over. And another thing I do, that if you've done an escape as well, is that if you escape from the prison guards, they would put you in solitary confinement. But if you escape while you was under the signature of the police, then you'd be okay if you got caught. So you wouldn't be under solitary confinement. So I used my head a little bit, and I thought, well, wait for them to sign you over, and if I do get caught, I won't be in solitary confinement. So I thought. And anyway, I waited that day, you know, and as usual, the prison guards, they pick you up from Cardiff and they transport you in the bus. I think it's that was the prison bus, and then you go in, sign you over, take the handcuffs off, and that day, boosh, I shot through the doors. There was 2 policemen standing either side. I bowled them over. They didn't know what I'd done, and then I made good my escape, and then I got caught, and then they took me back, and they actually put me in solitary confinement. So the story I heard was a bit of a fallacy, because I escaped from the police, and they still put me in solitary confinement in the Cardiff prison.
So that means that you wanted to escape because you don't like being locked up, but in remand you still had a certain amount of freedom.
Yeah.
But now, instead of being free, you were even worse off.
I was in a prison, in another prison.
And you were in solitary confinement without any access to other people or going places within the prison.
Yeah.
So you were worse off then. What happened next?
Well, it was, I'd be locked up now. The cell would be locked up and I'd be behind the door. And that was for 23 hours a day. Quite often 24 hours a day, because sometimes they didn't have the staff, or sometimes the weather was used as an excuse not to put us out on this little yard, and we were kept apart from the ordinary cellmates. And when that door slammed, I realised that I was claustrophobic, because I would go into, cold sweat and shiver, almost if we got a fever, if I had a fever. And I couldn't sit down. I just couldn't sit down, and it was a really enclosed space. I think if it was a wide space, I wouldn't have felt claustrophobia, but what you had was the bed there, and then you had your locker, one end of the bed, and then so you had about this much space between the bed and the locker, and this much, and you could barely walk up and down there, but I would walk up and down in a figure of 8 so that I could keep moving all the time, and it would stop me from feeling that cold, feverishy sort of thing to it. And I was really suffering, mentally, and because my wife, common law wife, and I had children, was writing me letters saying she had cancer and she was dying, and then my brother had, we had planned this alibi. It was a lie. And I would have been out of court, like, if he'd stuck up for me. The police didn't have no evidence, so I was getting a lot of anger, a lot of hate inside of me. And I wanted to escape on that, plus how I was feeling within the cell.
What did your brother, he withdraw his alibi? He didn't stood up for you and gave you an alibi?
Yeah, well, he done a runner when the police turned up. And really, that was, in a way, it was a confession of guilt as far as the judge would see.
Okay.
Obviously, my brother, he got issues about being locked up too. It's just when the police turned up that day, he ran. And I was left there.
And the anger towards your common law wife?
Yeah, it was all there.
Because?
Well, she was, she said she was going to stand up in court and say, that I was innocent and all this sort of stuff. She was part of the alibi. And then she had written a letter to say something along the lines of, I'm not going to stand up in court and tell lies for you. And, well, I thought that she was wrong, of course, and she should be sticking up for me.
And she didn't have cancer. That was a lie too.
Well, I didn't know at that time, and I think that was at a later stage, but she was not sending letters, she was not coming to visit, and then towards the end, there was, I don't remember the exact timing of it, but she sent a letter towards the end to say that I've got cancer. I've been to the doctor, I got cancer and I'm dying. Obviously it turned out to be a lie, because the real story was that I heard stories that she was knocking off with other guys, like while I was in prison, and it came to me through the prison. In prison, it's a sort of, it's like a centre. Everybody knows what's going on in the prison. Everybody just knows what's going on about everybody else, because they're all local people, and it's like you're always the last one to know, sort of thing. If everybody knows, but obviously a lot of people must have known.
So news from the outside world would still reach people.
Yeah.